unstoppable heart. Coco Gauff donates. Wuhan Open winnings for kids' healthcare in Delray Beach. The golden confetti hadn't even finished falling when Coco Gauff stepped to the microphone. Her hands trembled slightly, not from exhaustion, but from emotion. She had just captured the 2025 Wuhan Open title, her fifth crown of the season, defeating a resurgent Aryna Sabalenka in a three-set thriller that electrified the Chinese crowd. The cheers were deafening. Cameras flashed. Her name echoed through the arena. But when Coco began to speak, silence swept over the stadium. "This victory isn't just mine," she said softly, voice cracking under the weight of her words. "I've decided to donate my entire prize money to the Children's Healthcare Department at my hometown hospital in Delray Beach, Florida." Gasps, then tears and applause so thunderous it drowned out even the music. "These kids deserve a fair shot at life," she continued. "And if my win today can help save even one of them, then that's the greatest trophy I could ever hold." The camera zoomed in on her, eyes glassy, sincere, and brave. And in that instant, Coco Gauff wasn't just a Wuhan Open champion. She became the world's champion of compassion. The road to Wuhan, the Wuhan Open, had always held special meaning for Coco. It was her first time returning to China since her teenage years, where she'd once played in the junior circuit, hungry and unknown. Back then, she dreamed of one day playing under the bright lights with the world watching. Now she stood at the pinnacle, ranked number 2 in the world, adored by millions, and carrying herself with the same humility she had as a kid, hitting balls in Delray Beach's public courts. But this trip wasn't just about tennis. Coco had been quietly following the stories coming from her hometown, stories of underfunded pediatric units, outdated equipment, and families struggling to afford treatment for their children. The news at home. She had grown up just a few miles from Delray Beach Medical Center, the hospital that had once cared for her younger brother Cameron when he was born prematurely. That hospital had given her family hope. Now she wanted to give it back. As she boarded her flight to China, she scribbled a note in her journal. "If I win Wuhan, I'll dedicate it to the kids back home." She didn't tell anyone, not even her parents. A champion's calm. From the first round, Coco's focus seemed otherworldly. Her footwork was sharper, her serve more precise, her eyes unshakably calm. Journalists notice she's playing like she's on a mission. One reporter whispered in the media box, and she was every swing of her racket carried purpose. Every match when brought her closer, fulfilling a silent promise she had made to herself and to the children she hadn't even met yet. She breezed past Caroline Garcia, outlasted IG Swiatek in a semifinal that felt like a war wills, and then faced Aryna Sabalenka in a final that tested every ounce of her mental toughness when she lifted the trophy after 6-3, 4-6, 7-5 victory. She didn't jump, didn't scream. She just smiled softly, as if she already knew this one meant something far beyond tennis. The announcement heard around the world. The prize money was $2.50 million, a life-changing amount even for someone of Coco's stature. But she never hesitated. During the trophy presentation, she made the announcement with a quiet conviction that shook the tennis world. Her words were raw, unrehearsed, and deeply human. "There are kids in my hometown fighting battles much tougher than any match I've ever played. They don't need applause. They need care. So I'm giving this prize money to the pediatric department at Delray Medical." There was no grand gesture, no dramatic music, just truth. Or Sabalenka hugged her afterward and whispered something to microphones. Didn't catch. Later, Sabalenka revealed, I told her you just won more than a title today. You won hearts. Within hours, Coco's decision became the top trending story on global social media. Hashtag Unstoppable Heart, hashtag CCO for Kids, hashtag Beyond That Court. Her name dominated every headline, but Coco stayed offline. That night, she didn't want fame. She wanted impact. The reason behind the gift a few days later. Coco sat down for an emotional interview with ESPN. I remember visiting the hospital when I was 12. She said the walls were gray. The equipment looked old. But the doctors, they were full of life. They gave everything they had. I told my mom, then one day I'll help to make it better. Her eyes watered as she continued. When I won in Wuhan, I felt this peace like God was reminding me it was time to fulfill that promise. Her voice cracked, but she didn't shy away. I've always said that I play for something bigger than trophies. This is what I meant. That interview was replayed millions of times around the world. It wasn't just a sports story anymore. It was a human story, a flight home. A mission begins. The day after her Wuhan victory, Coco boarded a plane home to Florida. No entourage, no cameras, just her parents, her coach, and her heart full of purpose. At Delray Beach Medical Center, staff were already buzzing with anticipation. Banners hung. In the lobby, welcome home, Coco. Thank you for believing in us. A reunion of miracle. A year later, Coco returned quietly to Delray Beach Medical. The hospital smelled of fresh paint and new beginnings. The staff surprised her with a small ceremony, but the biggest surprise came from Liliana, the little girl with leukemia, now cancer-free, and holding a trophy from her first local tennis tournament. She ran to Coco and hugged her tightly. I told you I'd fight, remember? Coco laughed, tears glistening. You did more than fight. You won. They played a few light rallies in the hospital courtyard, laughter echoing through the hallways. Cameras captured the moment, but it didn't feel staged. It felt pure. The photo of Coco and Liliana rallying became Time Magazine's Image of the Year, titled Simply Hope in Motion. What it means to win. Months later, during a late-night interview, Coco reflected on the journey. People think success is about holding trophies, but I've learned it's about holding hearts. The court gave me fame, but giving back gave me peace. When asked what advice she had for young athletes, she said, play hard, dream big, but don't forget who you're playing for, because one day the people you help will be your greatest victory. Her smile was gentle, her tone sincere, and as the camera faded out, her final words lingered like a melody. Love is the most unstoppable force in the world. Epilogue, the legacy of an unstoppable heart. Long after her Wuhan trophy gathered dust in a cabinet, Coco Gauff's legacy lived on, not in the record books, but in the laughter-healed children, in the nurses, smiling in new wings, in families who dare to hope again. The Coco Gauff Pediatric Center became a symbol of what sports had achieved when driven by humanity, not headlines. Every time a newborn cried, every time a child rang the recovery bell, Coco's gift echoed in the walls of that hospital. And somewhere on a tennis court in Delray Beach, a group of kids, healthy, happy, and dreaming, shouted, "Let's go, Coco." Because in the end, greatness isn't measured by how many matches you win. It's measured by how many hearts you heal. Red Heart Tennis. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like, and share. Till next time.